Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer brought to you by Forge College. I am super excited you're here today because we're going to be diving into something absolutely critical, building a bulletproof engineering safety net for your Solana transactions. We're taking some incredibly powerful backend concepts and mapping them out visually so you can protect your apps from the total chaos of the live network. So in our last lesson, we tackled resolving ENS names in contracts, right? That was all about the who. But here's the thing. Even if you know exactly who you're sending a transaction to, the network path to get there can still temporarily fail. It's kind of like having the perfect address written out on an envelope, but the bridge on the way to the post office is closed. Today, we're going to figure out exactly how to handle that closed bridge without losing our minds, or more importantly, our users' money. Okay, let's take a quick look at today's blueprint. We'll start with when the network hiccups, figure out whether to retry or not, explore backoff and random jitter, unlock the magic of idempotency, and finally, actually build your safety net. Let's get into it. Section 1. When the network hiccups. We just gotta acknowledge a frustrating reality here. Building on blockchains means accepting that the network is gonna hiccup. It just is. And if you don't handle it right, well, it leads to the absolute agony of accidental double charges, or those wonderfully confusing error screens for your users. But look, the reality is these aren't necessarily flaws in your code. Connection resets, TCP timeouts, or overloaded nodes returning HTTP 502s, those are essentially the server hanging up a gone phishing sign. It's a temporary closed door. That means we need a mechanical strategy to patiently wait rather than just angrily mashing the refresh button and praying to the server gods. Moving right along to Section 2, to retry or not, because we really need to classify our failures before we even think about reacting. Because throwing the exact same request at a server over and over, that's not a strategy, that's just spamming. On the left side here, we have transient errors, like 503s. These are temporary roadblocks that warrant a polite retry. But on the right, deterministic errors. If an account is invalid or a pre-flight simulation fails because you're out of funds, waiting 10 seconds isn't going to magically spawn more crypto in your wallet. So the crucial point here, politely retry the temporary hiccups, but fail fast on the brick walls. All right, Section 3, backoff and random jitter, or as I like to call it, how to knock politely on a server's door. So if we decide we actually should retry, we absolutely need a smart pacing mechanism. Check out the math of being polite, exponential backoff. Notice how the delay time literally doubles with each attempt. We start by waiting just 100 milliseconds. If that fails, we wait 200 milliseconds, then 400. We're progressively backing off to give the struggling server some breathing room to actually recover. But hang on, imagine this nightmare scenario. A shared network outage just ended. 1,000 different apps using your exact same backoff logic wake up and fire their retry request at the exact same millisecond. What happens? Boom, you get a stampede, the dreaded thundering herd problem, and you immediately crash the server all over again. No way we want that. So how do we stop the stampede? We solve this by injecting what engineers call jitter. Jitter adds just a little bit of random fuzziness, say plus or minus 20% to the delay timer. So instead of exactly 1,000 apps hitting the server at 400 milliseconds, some hit at 380, some at 410, some at 450, everyone's retry clock is slightly offset, which drastically smooths out that traffic spike. It's brilliant. And here is the golden rule of exponential backoff: 30. You absolutely must implement an overall timeout, something like 30 seconds. Because look, if a server goes down completely, your exponential backoff is eventually going to be waiting hours or even days for a single request, just pinning your app's resources indefinitely. You have to cap the delay and give up cleanly after a set time. Which brings us to Section 4, the magic of idempotency. This is our ticket system for safe retries. Now, I know idempotency sounds like a scary 5-syllable word pulled straight from a PhD thesis, but the definition is super simple. It's a safeguard ensuring an operation only happens once, no matter how many duplicate requests are sent. Think of it like getting a stamp on your hand at a concert or getting a coat check ticket. If you accidentally resubmit a transaction, maybe because your app thought the first one failed due to a timeout, the system looks at your idempotency token. It recognizes you, says, hey, I already processed this ticket, and guarantees it only executes that transfer once. Absolutely no accidental double spending. All right, final stretch. Section 5, building your safety net. let's assemble our code scaffold. Now that we have all the mechanical gears, this matrix right here is your new best friend. If we map out the logic, this rulebook dictates exactly how your decision function should route every single observed network response. 502s, they get backoff and jitter. Connection timeouts, retried until you hit that 30-second cap. Pre-flight simulation fails, boom, fail fast. And hey, if the server is polite enough to send a retry after header during a rate limit, you actually listen to it and use their suggested delay. Make sense? Let's move to the actual transaction flow and see how this builds a sequence. First, you generate that idempotency token, your coat check ticket. Second, you send the RPC request. Third, your app checks its in-memory guard to see if a request with this exact token is already in flight. Finally, it either executes the call, or if it sees a duplicate, it actively blocks that second submission and just patiently waits for the first one to resolve. And honestly, the best part, you don't have to write this all from scratch. You can literally use vibe coding. Just prompt an AI assistant to scaffold a TypeScript retry RPC wrapper for you, complete with backoff, jitter, an overall timeout, and that in-memory idempotency guard. It's just an amazing way to get the boilerplate down so you can focus your energy on fine-tuning the parameters. So to wrap up our blueprint today, burn these core principles into your brain. Classify your errors before you act. Use backoff and jitter so you don't bully the RPC nodes. Cap those delays with strict overall timeouts. Always secure your state-changing side effects with idempotency tokens. And finally, log your metrics. You can't fix a network problem if you can't see how often your app is secretly retrying in the background. Which leaves us with one final provocative question. Are your API endpoints ready for automated failover? Because now that you have this resilient retry scaffold built, you are perfectly positioned for our next massive technical step, automatically routing traffic away from dead nodes over to healthy ones. You've got the foundation. To dive into that next step, be sure to visit forge.college to learn more about endpoint failover and continue your Web3 mastery with our community. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy coding.